All right, so welcome everybody to live Q&A on January 6th. I was just looking at my channel. I saw last time I did one of these that I actually kept around was a year ago. It was almost exactly a year ago, a little over. And it went fast. That was a fast year. And I'm not really sure, one, where the time went, and two, why I didn't do another one of these in the whole year since. I'm not as good, in my opinion, extemporaneously as I am typically when I make videos and I record them. Obviously, it's not interactive, and I do a lot of editing. I'll take the same little section, and I'll do it like 5 different times, trying to find the one that I like best. That's why you'll see there's edits in there, and I hide some of the edits, but behind photos and crap. But it's not always perfect. So extemporaneously, I'm not as in my opinion, as smooth, even though I teach for a living, but whatever. So I got some questions I asked about a week ago. Hey, has anybody got some questions they want to see tonight? And people gave me I got like 6 questions, and I think I'm going to touch on those, although one of them is probably worthy of its own video. And in the interim, hopefully things will fill up here in the chat, and somebody will add some questions we're talking about. So first one. This is from Phil Brenhoff, and he's on my local airsoft team, so kind of biased. Good dude. What is the furthest you'd travel out of pocket to play at a great AO? Honestly, there's not really a huge limit on that. I think I would stay in the continental United States. But past that, if it's a really good event, really great AO, driving, my limit on driving is about 8 to 10 hours. I prefer 5 or 6. 8 to 10 is where it starts getting kind of crappy. And after that, I just fly. I don't like driving more than 10. Usually there's a faster way to fly. But really, the limitation for me as far as ops go right now is scheduling. Between work and family, I don't have a ton of free time. But an op has to land in the window of free time that I have, and then I can probably go hit it. But when I went to that 40-hour Milsim Operation Underdog, that just landed perfectly in my schedule and custody schedule and all that, because I've shared custody of my kids, and didn't have anything going at work, so I was able to run down there. That was only 5 hours away. The issue was I was worried about how tired I was going to be at the end of it, making that 5-hour drive back, falling asleep on the road and whatnot. And honestly, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But it's fucking miserable. So that's kind of my limit for traveling for a good op. I'm not afraid to flying, but that's a lot of headache. It's got to be a pretty damn good op. So next question, Dan Humphrey, and Dan's a good friend of mine too. He kind of plays in the Kansas City area. What is the AO you've always wanted to play at, like the dream game that I've never quite been to? Oddly enough, I think Battle Hack. I watch a lot of videos of Battle Hack Airsoft. That looks like just a kind of a cool. Oh, Twig's here. Hey, I'm answering your question. Anyway, Dan, probably Battle Hack is where I'd like to go play. I'm pretty sure it's one of those that looks really cool in videos, like YouTube videos and shit. And then when you actually get there, it's not as entertaining as that. It's probably a lot smaller than it looks on videos, and probably not quite as cool. But casually speaking, yeah, I love it. I think that's just looking at it from the outside, that'd be a fun place to go play. So I get to train in a lot of kind of neat places, but that's kind of like SWAT training, which isn't the same as airsoft. It's a lot more formal, and there's a lot more waiting and debriefing, and it's just not as fun. The gunfights back and forth just aren't as frequent, not even close, and it's work. Whereas, I've trained in a lot of places that I would love to play airsoft in. I would love it. I'm like, this place would be the shit for an airsoft game. But here we're stuck doing this hostage rescue scenario, and we're playing with the hostage negotiators, and they're going to talk for 30 minutes while we just get cold. So it's not as fun. Let's see. Next question. Sean Das, I think that it might be Das Master 42 who's in the chat. Okay. Outdoor small unit tactics. Playing for about 2 years, all outdoor, and have never tried indoors. The impression of more bitching going on in indoor areas and greater likelihood of shit has kept me away. Your thoughts on the two? So basically what you're asking is the impression that you're getting is that indoor fields there's more drama. I don't think that's necessarily true. I just think that's what you see on YouTube because drama gets clicks and gets all the clickbaiting shit. Personally, fields have different cultures. I've been to a lot of different fields. They all have different cultures, and some of them are very positive. A lot of that is established by the admins, by the owners of the field. It's established before the party even starts and how they set up their business and in their safety brief and everything. They're just real good and they're pretty thorough. And if they're on top of their adminning, you're going to have a good culture. Try to keep things positive. I've never played a Milsim West event, but from what I've seen how they do their admin stuff and their safety briefs, it seems like it's kind of designed towards, hey, chill the fuck out. We're all here to have fun. Don't take yourself too seriously. I also think that negative players are kind of attracted to the same places because they get kicked out of other places and they all kind of like end up going to the same fields. And that's why you get those cultures of, well, hey, they don't really enforce the rules much here. They don't enforce med. They really don't look too hard at the chrono. And then you're going to attract all those asshole players. And that's when people are just going to get kind of salty and shot and upset and all the fucking bullshit that follows. I don't do gameplay videos. Gameplay videos. You guys know that because I think they're boring as hell. And I don't see the point. I would rather have a discussion and try to, share some knowledge. So no, I don't think indoor fields are any more dramatic than outdoor at all. Here we go. So Daniel AR Sick. Okay. Airsoft is usually close combat, about 50 meters in open and less in CQB. I agree. And things develop fast, so there's not much time to collect info and lead your team accordingly. Any suggestions on how to coordinate airsoft teams during gameplay? It is easier to do outdoor. Indoor, it is very difficult. In my opinion, you're better off if you have a team of 5, instead of trying to teach all 5 of those players to play well together, you're better off teaching each player to have very good individual skills. Their ability to use cover, hold down angles, find the strong point. And if they have good individual skills and they communicate with each other at all, you'll usually be a really effective team getting things done. But trying to really strategize once you come in contact in CQB can be a little bit difficult. Past little stuff, hey, suppressing, he's down here at the end of the hall or whatever, but kind of long-term strategy is a little more difficult. Outdoors, definitely, it's a lot easier, especially when you have radios to communicate and coordinate. You just got to kind of be on the same page of what's the goal here. Are we trying to capture objective? Are we trying to head a certain direction? Are we trying to hold down a certain area and defend a certain area? Or trying to deny access, to this area to the other team or whatever. As long as you establish real quick and simple what we're doing, what's our short-term objective here, and you kind of understand your role in that team. Like if you're the support gun, your job is to, lay down, cover or fire on this little area because that's the main area they're coming through. If you're the designated marksman, we want you to hold this spot over here and cover these lanes. Then you can be really effective. But you got to be comfortable with the people you play with. I'm not really too keen on, hey, as a team, let's get together and airsoft practice or airsoft train. I really have not a high opinion of that as far as actual value your team's going to get from it, unless you're going to be doing a photo shoot and filming some video about how badass you are, then okay, you might get some likes and views and whatnot. But I think the best teams kind of train as they go. They train on the field, they train in games, and they have after actions about what went well, what went poorly, and what went poorly is more important than what went well when you get wiped off the field, which happens to everybody. To sit back and go, hey, did we fuck up or was that just dumb luck? And it's often a little bit of both. So that's my 2 cents on teams working together. Dasmaster 42, I think it's in the chat. Small unit tactics for outdoor play. I think I kind of covered that in the last question. The only thing I would kind of add, and I've done videos on it, is if you understand the concept of a suppressive fire element and an attack element, where the suppressive fire element is trying to keep the enemy in one place, and the attack element is trying to hit either of the flanks and then sweep out those enemies, then you're doing pretty well. As long as your team conceptually understands that, oh, based on what's going on, okay, I'm the suppressing element. I mean, you might have somebody who you want to be the suppressing element at all times, and this other part of your squad to be the attack element. But when shit happens, it doesn't happen as you plan. The team has to be able to recognize, okay, they're in contact, they're laying down fire. That makes me the attacking element now, and I got to find a way to get an angle and attack that target from 2 different angles. Is basically what you're looking at. Oh, this is the one that I almost guarantee is going to have to become a longer video. How to approach staircases and hallways with 2 center-fed rooms across from each other solo. So basically, and this is from No Name, how to take the least shitty bite out of a shit sandwich is the thing that he's describing for me. I will say that so there are scenarios, both real world and in Airsoft, obviously, where there's just no pretty way to do it. You're just kind of stuck, and you have to do it. Example, Thursday I was doing rappel training with the SWAT team, and some of the guys haven't been there nearly quite as long as me, so they were asking, hey, we've never gone rappelled into a window. We've worked on rappelling outside of windows and setting up, breaching windows and setting up devices and attacking from outside the window in. But these guys have never gone into a room on rappel. And we did it like 6 or 7 years ago. We played with it quite a bit. And I told them it's not like the movies. There's no pretty way to do it. At least if there is, I haven't figured it out yet. Not that I can do consistently. And it's just it's not what you think. So we developed a scenario. What if there's, a hostage rescue scenario and the main attack element can't get to the door for whatever reason, and we're like a secondary option, and then we get called up to, okay, we're going to do this. And yeah, okay, so let's play this game. And so we set up outside the window and, rappel down, and we're trying to get the right amount of swing to swing in. And then once you go in through the window, you got to give yourself a lot of slack quickly. And basically the descender that the team likes using is the pisol ID. And the pisol ID is really safe because if you let it go, it stops you. And if you pull it too far, it stops. It's very safe. It's basically impossible to get hurt using a pisol ID to fall, but it doesn't have a lot of control. It's the safety keeps it from being really flexible. Whereas a regular, what we call Rescue 8 descender, which is what I prefer to use, you can give yourself a lot of slack quickly. And then once you through that window, you can give yourself lots of slack and at least end up on your feet. You're not going to end up deep in the structure and you're still kind of tethered. It takes some work to get untethered. It's not like in video games, but at least you can get in there and pull a weapon out and defend yourself to some degree. So after playing with that for about 6 hours, they kind of came around to thinking, yeah, Rob was right. This is a lot trickier than we thought. And maybe wearing heavy plate armor, entry armor is maybe not going to work and blah, blah, blah. But it's you're trying to take the least shitty bite out of the sandwich. And that scenario that you're telling me with the 2 opposing doors by yourself, a shitty situation. Short version is you got to gather intel you can about which room to take first, because one of them's got to come first. Let's say one door is closed, one door is open. Okay, work the open door first. Let's say both doors are open, but you hear people talking inside one, or people shooting, airsoft situation, or you observe somebody shooting out of it. Okay, take that one first. Maybe both doors are closed, but you see the lights are on in one of the rooms. I would go to that one. That gives you an indication it's there. Both doors are open. One appears to be a bathroom and the other appears to be a bedroom. Go with the bedroom. SWAT context. Go with the bedroom because bathrooms, especially if the lights are off, people generally don't sit in bathrooms with the lights off. So you got to make these quick judgments on which one is better. All that being equal, if you don't even have that to go by, just 2 open doors, I would work both sides of the hall from a ways out and try to check the hard corners of each one of those rooms from outside and try to make an assessment of there. And then if there's no indication there which one's best, I would do the left one first because I prefer clearing on my strong side. Everybody does. And I would clear the one on the left while shoulder checking the one on the right. And shoulder checking is not really your A game when it comes to room clearing. Because in my opinion, shoulder checking is just clearing your uncleared space your back is to, like you're still cool back there. And generally speaking, if you see a bad guy, you see them just in time for them to shoot you in the back. So it's definitely not your A game. Oh, his little cousin, what do you teach? Are you still teaching SWAT and related or teaching in school like math? No, my full-time job is academy instructor. So I teach at the academy at a large police department. And I'm on a range, 4 days a week, 4 out of my 5-day week. I'm a Glock armor. I'm a Mossberg armor. I spend a lot of time working on guns, cleaning guns, zeroing guns. I spent a lot of time testing and evaluating optics. Earlier this week, I was testing out the new Glock red dot that sits on pistol red dot from Glock. It's awesome. It's pretty good. Today, I helped mount a scope on a sergeant's rifle and zero that. So my day job is very firearms related. My full-time job, part-time, is getting called up for SWAT every once in a while, once or twice a week. But my day job is heavily firearms related. I teach firearms to recruits. I teach rifle research to officers. I help teach the SWAT school. I'm one of many instructors. I teach CQB. I teach threat analysis, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, anything firearms related. That's what I spend most of my time teaching. The airsoft is obviously what I do for recreation. Das Master 42, what is the best airsoft grenade in your opinion? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm horrible here. Maybe the EG67s, if that's the right thing, if that's the right grenade, the one where you pull the pin and it throws and blows up. Those are nice, but they're kind of cost prohibitive for some people. I still use Thunder Bees because I got a bunch of the shells left over, and CO2 cartridges are cheap. So I like using Thunder Bees, but they're not as reliable. But you can drill a hole in the canister of your Thunder Bee and make them go off in like 2 seconds, which is somewhat accurate to what a real flashbang is. Whereas those EG67s, you pull the pin, you throw it in, it takes forever for them to go off, and they're not very consistent. I would prefer a less effective grenade that is more consistent as far as how long for it to go off versus a more effective one that is, who knows. So I've used lots of them there. They're all kind of varying degrees of crap, but it's got to be cheap enough that people are going to buy them. If it's reliable and it costs, $20 a throw, nobody's going to buy them. Das Master 42, can you elaborate more on strong point? I think I did a video on it. So strong point is basically where it is a position where you can have several lanes. You have good cover, and you can hold down a certain section of the field or the area that is desirable. And by controlling that area with fire, you can control a larger area of the field. Okay. So instead of, let's say, I'm going to sit in this, I'm going to watch the door. I'm in a room and I'm just going to watch the door into this room. And I'm going to control the doorway of that room. It's not really effective. You're just controlling that one little room that may or may not even be worth getting. As opposed to, I'm going to hold down this entire hallway, or there's only one way into this hallway, and I'm going to cover that area, that way into this hallway from a deep angle from which I'm difficult to spot. That's a strong point. And we've all been there. You get that guy, you're playing airsoft, wherever, and you're like, God, this guy in this one particular spot is really holding up the entire operation from a great position using effective fire. That's a strong point. That's what I'm talking about when I say hold the strong point. How to cover 2 spots at once, 2 guns perhaps? No, not possible. You can only really focus on one area at a time. If I have 2 areas that are kind of like at an angle, 15 degrees off each other, then yeah, I can hold them both down and watch them both, but I'm not going to be as effective when I'm splitting my attention. But as far as I'm going to cover an area here and then an area at the 180, no, you cannot do that effectively. That's just a very temporary thing. You want to move to a position where all the bad guys are on one side of you. Playing any local fields during the winter season? No. Where I live in Nebraska, we have no indoor places right now. We used to. Now we don't have them, and there's no place to play. So our off season is the off season from about November till March. Games will start up in March if the weather's not too cruel. But sometimes where I'm at, March can be pretty snowy and extremely cold and windy. So oftentimes we got to wait till April. Yeah, there's no place I'm playing. I'm just deep in the off season. Generally, I just work out and do a lot of indoor shooting, a lot of firearm shooting. There's a range where I work, which is nice. You guys, I'm sure if you've seen a couple of videos I post about drills I'm doing, that's just me shooting at work because I have access to a range, which is kind of fun. But Fuse Airsoft question: are you going to go to Operation Timber in Indiana? No, I am not. I wanted to. So Operation Timber is put on by RealSim, which is the company that put on Operation Underdog, and I wanted to support them in that endeavor in Operation Timber, but it's like a huge conflict with my schedule, and I can't make that one happen. Like I said earlier, ops I attend are largely based on schedule restraints, not as much financial ones. Not that I'm wealthy, but it's that's the big thing. Is step one is I check my schedule and see, is that even going to be viable for me to attend? I would like to. So in fact, the guy that I was partnered up with in the sniper observer team, I was the observer. He he asked me to go, and the guy who runs RealSim asked me if I was going to go and be a sniper again. I said no. Police. In that hallway situation, I would wave my gun beyond cover to try and get the enemy to fire so I can determine which direction to focus on. That's an idea. I think anytime you compromise your position just to compromise your position is not smart. People not knowing where you're at is a huge advantage, probably the biggest advantage. I would be very hesitant to give up my location for no reason. Master 42, what inserts do you suggest for M4 AR front mags? Sorry for all the questions. It's no worries. Inserts. I'm not really sure what you're talking about there. I don't do a lot of inserts in my M4 mags. If you mean like those little plastic Kydex things to make it easier to pull out the magazines, unless that's necessary for the design of the pouch, I don't use them. I've never had the speed with which I pull a magazine out be a make or break in anything for me. If you're planning your reloads correctly, I mean, shit happens. But ideally, you're not going to be caught in the open and running out of ammunition, so the speed of that reload is relevant to the outcome of the exchange. If I'm going to go through an area where I'm exposed, I'm going to reload before I hit that area. I'm not going to I'm not going to go in there with a mag where I'm thinking, is it half empty, or maybe I forgot because it's pretty intense. I'm going to just err on the side of reloading that magazine. And what they call an emergency reload, where it's like, oh shit, I'm out of ammo in the middle of a gunfight and I got to reload now. That is a typically a failure on your part. Fuse Airsoft, does it annoy you when people say you look like Jon Bernthal? Nope, not at all. I get told that a lot, like all the time. That, hey, you look like Jon Bernthal. Yes, thank you. I know I do. I don't know. I used to be ugly, and then Jon Bernthal comes on The Walking Dead, and then I'm not ugly anymore. I'm going to take advantage of it. It seemed to work out. But then he became the rapey guy, season 2 of Walking Dead, and then it wasn't cool to look like the rapey guy. And back then, I would literally be at Hy-Vee or wherever. That's a grocery store where I live. I'd be at a grocery store, and like I would see like teenage girls like whispering at each other and giggling and pointing, and I would literally walk up to them and go, I know I look like Jon Bernthal. And they're like, oh my God, yes, you do. I've never tried to pretend to be Jon Bernthal to get free food or something like that. I've never done that. And I've never done that. But no, it doesn't annoy me. And then Jon Bernthal done a bunch of awesome stuff since then. So now it's cool to look like Jon Bernthal again. Dassmaster42, do you follow other airsoft channels? Yes, I do. A couple, not many. I follow a lot more real steel stuff, real steel channels. I watch a lot of shooting videos, but some of that stuff can be kind of fucked up because everybody, if you watch a lot of firearm shooting videos and you watch a lot of guys who make videos for YouTube because they look cool shooting, it will give you a misconception about how easy it is to do certain tasks. Okay. When you see guys engaging targets, like, you know, and they're shooting really fast at lots of targets. One, you can't see the targets, so you don't know how accurately they're shooting. Two, they probably have a lot more training time than you have available, a lot more ammo at their disposal, and they also get to take as many takes as they want. Okay, and play the best take. And so I've posted videos where I'm just shooting, and somebody will go, "Well, God, you're kind of slow," and I'm like, "Well, I don't think so. I'm actually a fairly good shooter, and I think I'm probably in the top 5% of shooters in general. But you're used to watching people who are in the top maybe quarter of a percent. There's a big pro shooter, Nate Statskowitz. I know him. He's a friend of mine. I work with his dad. His dad's a really good dude. I've known the kid his whole life, casually, and I've shot with him and trained with him a little bit. And he's one of the best shooters in the world. Guy's amazing. If he is your standard for, that's how fast I can shoot, probably not. That's how fast you can shoot if you spend a decade practicing constantly and have a lot of natural talent. So you got to be kind of careful what you see on the internet. Some of these guys that shoot fast and accurate, you're looking at the top 1%. You know, you're looking at like the Mike Tyson of shooting. So I mean, might be unrealistic for you to expect everybody to shoot that well. What do you think of the Black MacGyver? What do you think of the Umarex HK416A5 AEG for airsoft quality or budget? I'm not familiar with that gun at all. If you want, we can Google it right now together. Generally speaking, I'm not a fan of HK416s, either real world or airsoft, because they are really heavy. They're needlessly heavy. And you don't, in my opinion, it's not worth the trouble. Talking real world here, it's a piston operated gun, so it's theoretically less maintenance, but that piston operation is extremely heavy. And I was doing an operation with the ATF years ago. There was an ATF team. This was probably a decade ago. And sometimes we do ops where we're teaming up with other teams. And they had this part of the op, and they had their part. And we were doing the briefing, and everybody's all geared up. And there's this ATF, guy, and I hate using the term operator because it's kind of overused and stupid. So there's this guy there, and he's got his HK416. I'm like, I'm kind of shaking my head looking at it, and I go, "You guys have HK416s?" He goes, "Yep." I go, "That's what it's like to have a unlimited budget. Must be nice." And he goes, "You think so, huh?" And he goes, he unslings it and holds it out for me to hold. He goes, "Hold it." Sure enough, I grabbed his rifle, and I was like, "Holy shit, this thing's heavy." He's like, "Yeah, it's heavy. It is just not worth it." I was like, "Man, that sucks." So they had a lot of gear that we didn't have. That was pretty cool. So, but it was a successful op. Arrested bad guys. It was cool. So yeah, 416s. I just don't like them. They're just expensive and heavy. As far as on the airsoft side goes, I think as far as quality goes with airsoft, you're going to want to look at the manufacturer more than the type of gun every time. Umarex just rebrands other people's shit, so it depends on who they're rebranding it from. I'm on a real big CYMA Platinum kick right now. I think all things CYMA Platinum are great because everything I've seen they make is in the Platinum line is very good. It's not amazing, it's just very good. And if you're going to upgrade a lot of stuff on it anyway, you just want solid externals and good internals. If you're going to change out the barrel and the hop-up unit anyway, does it really matter? Let's see what kind of gears we got. What's the quality of the piston head, all that stuff. And from what I've seen, CYMA Platinum is the shit. Another nice thing about the CYMA Platinums is their quick change spring system, which is not uncommon now. Lots of people have it. It's one of the better ones out there I've seen. Just the practicality of that is what I look for. So his little cousin, I think your donation probably go to your ad revenue. So when you make the payout, you'll probably get it, I'd assume. Yeah, you might be right. I literally make tens of dollars on YouTube. I was going to make a video, and maybe we'll talk about a little bit here about YouTube and Airsoft and everything. I don't consider myself a particularly successful YouTube channel for Airsoft. By Airsoft standards, I'm probably in the top 25%, maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of bad channels out there. But because the Airsoft market is so small, viewers wise, your chances of you ever becoming popular enough, especially at the level that I'm doing this, where I'm then just some guy in his basement with a camera, I don't have a production team with me or any of that. The level that I'm doing it at, I'm never going to get the likes and views and kind of traction to make any money from YouTube. I make tens of dollars a month from YouTube, which is fine. I don't do it for money from YouTube. I do it because I enjoy sharing the information with you guys. I enjoy sharing some of the things that I've been lucky enough to learn and experience. And some of it that applies to Airsoft, I share with you guys because I think it's helpful and I think you find it useful. And I just love the sport. I love the sport of Airsoft, Milsim, whatever. And I kind of give them back to it as long as I can. As far as, the rest of it goes, you just keep grinding them out. I just keep grinding videos out. I'm never going to make a lot of money off YouTube or any of these views or anything. I've given up on that a long time ago. So yeah, some guy gave me $5. Okay, cool. Appreciate it. I have a job. I make good money. I would rather you get something for your money, which is why I sell slings, which is why I made the sling business, the Dice Show Tactical, to sell slings and patches. And I don't do amazing at that. I'm not going to quit my day job, but it does well enough that it's growing pretty steady, and it's definitely doing well. So, do I do videos on, YouTube just to push traffic over to my sling business? No, it's nice. I always mention it because it's nice to get something for the time, but it doesn't justify the time I put into it. Is there anyone you would want to train with this year? Oddly enough, Lucas from T-Rex Arms, I wouldn't mind because he looks like he has a lot of cool toys. And I have a mixed opinion about him. When he first started, he was kind of really cringy. But that's one of those guys I was talking about earlier who, if you watch them shoot a lot and you're like, oh, that's the standard of shooting. No, well, Lucas at T-Rex Arms shoots a lot. And he's a very, very, very good shooter. Right, because he has a lot of resources at his fingertips that he can get good at shooting, but that's not to discount his ability. From what I've observed, he's a phenomenal shooter. So that'd be kind of a cool guy to hang around with for a while. A very accomplished shooter. He would probably never party with me because I'm not really at that level anyway. Project Gecko guy. I like a lot of the stuff he puts out. I like a lot of the concepts he puts out. Yeah, his CQB method is very similar to what I was taught in high threat CQB. A lot of it, he just has a lot of interesting takes on stuff and quick peeks, shit like that I've never been trained in that I think are interesting. I think his success rate in CQB appears to be very high. Once again, I'm just watching videos that he puts out. He probably doesn't put out videos where he gets shot because that wouldn't sell. So for all I know, I'm watching stuff that's very edited. Everything's edited. But I'm really interested in Project Gecko. He's probably the number one person I would like to just kind of hang out with and take like a week-long class and just kind of walk in there, empty my cup, and absorb everything that he's laying down and try to learn from him. His CQB is excellent. Some stuff he posts makes me question some of the things I teach. So it's very good. And as an instructor, as a student of, I don't care what you're a student of. A student of anything, if you don't have the humility to approach it and question the way you do everything every so often, you're probably not being intellectually honest and probably not being very mature. I know on the SWAT side, we literally question everything all the time. Every couple of years, we'll sit down and we'll go, is threshold assaults still a good idea? Is this still the way to do things? Or should we go back to stack and flow and flowing into rooms? Is there a benefit there? Is the benefit worth giving up all this security and blah, 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 because times have changed and equipment's changed and technology's changed? Are we still doing the smartest, safest thing for what we do and what's best for protecting innocence? And yeah, if you're not really assessing the way you do everything every so often, I think you're doing it wrong. And whenever I see somebody that does something that appears to be very effective and is very different from what I do, I really take an interest in it. And not from the position of I'm going to pick this apart because what it represents is attacks, everything that I teach. And if I'm wrong, my identity is so wrapped up in me being correct that I can't, my fragile ego can't handle that. That's kind of a ignorant position. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I mean, it's okay. It's okay to grow and kind of learn new skills and decide something's better. That's what being an instructor is all about. Combative. Thanks for your content. Really enjoy the AAR from your 40-hour Milsim. You're very welcome. Yeah. I never know what videos are going to take off. I really don't. And I haven't been able to figure it out yet. Sometimes I'll make a video that I think is pretty well thought out, pretty interesting. This is interesting to me. And I think the viewers will like it. And then nobody watches it. It gets like 400, 500 views, and it dies and it just goes away and hides in the back corners of the channel. And then other times I'll just throw a video out, not just to throw it out, but it's not really something I'm particularly passionate about. Because the way the algorithm works for YouTube, it promotes, if you put out a channel, like a video every week, it's good. Okay. The algorithm likes that. I don't live and die by the algorithm. I just don't want to make a video. I'm not making a video that week because if I'm just burnt out or too busy at work, it's not going to happen. But there are times when I'll have a video like, okay, it's been a week, I got to put something out, and this isn't quite developed like I want it to be, but let's get in front of the camera and try to make it and just see what happens. And I won't be that excited about it, the final product. I might sometimes don't even put those out. I'll delete them. Sometimes I'm like, what the hell? Let's send it out there. And then it does great. I'm like, okay, fuck. Okay, I guess that video hit a nerve. Hit somebody wanted to watch that. So, and there's other stuff that not so figured it out quite yet. There's no fucking way that's the real Jon Bernthal saying you're one handsome guy. No way. If that is the real Jon Bernthal, then you've made my day. And there's no way that's the real one. So, sorry, John. I don't believe you. That would be cool if it is him. I think Jon Bernthal is like an inch taller than me and like a year older. But, yeah. There's no fucking way. Anyway, my son Austin would like to, okay, Daskmaster 42. My son Austin would like to ask, how old is your son and how does he like his first AEG you gave him while you were planning on taking him out to the field? It's awesome to play with father and son. So my son is 9. He's not quite ready to hit the field yet. He really likes his airsoft gun that I got him, but I bought him, everybody's gonna shriek at it, but it's I bought basically a Lancer Tactical Gen 3. He loves it. Lately it's been too cold and it's not really a good field gun. When you have, you have kids that age, that 9 or 10 years old, they are, they're fickle with the things they're into. And if you try to force kids that age to like something that they're just not into, you're going to find they probably rebel. This is some fatherly advice. Okay. For those of you that are parents or about to be parents, your children are not little versions of you. They're their own people with their own talents, desires, interests. And if you're trying to relive your childhood through your child by forcing your interest onto them, you're probably making a mistake. I spent a lot of my teenage and 20s fighting. Okay, that's why I look the way I do. I was a fighter. I was a boxer and a Muay Thai fighter. Had some success, or quite a bit of success. I've offered to teach my kids boxing and fighting. They see me work out all the time. They see me hitting the heavy bag. They're surrounded by boxing and firearms and SWAT stuff. They could give a shit less about it, as near as I can tell. I've tried to teach them boxing. They'll do it for a few minutes and they'll get bored and want to go back to whatever. My son is absolutely obsessed with football. His name's Colton. He loves football, all things football. He can talk about stats. His favorite team is the Bengals. His favorite player is I forget, wide receiver, number 1 for the Bengals. Somebody help me out. But I got him a jersey for that guy. I mean, it's what he loves, so I'm going to help him do it. Unfortunately, him and I can't talk about it because I don't know shit about football. If he wants to talk about boxing, talk about boxing a lot. But don't force your kids to try to do your things is kind of my takeaway. If your kid is interested in something and it's, healthy, encourage it. So I'm encouraging him to do lots of football stuff. His little cousin, bizarre question. How do you feel about Russian special forces wearing a plate carrier and a teammate discharging a single pistol round in the plate carrier? I've seen that video. Whatever. It's not very smart. It's not very safe, but it's Russians. So what do you expect? They're probably not as litigious a society as we are. So there's probably not as many liability concerns there. But I don't see the value of it. When you get hit in a plate, it has the same amount of force as the gun recoiling in your hand that fired the bullet. So it's pretty nominal. They always do it in hard plates. They don't do it with soft plates because soft plates will make you double over. Okay, Dasmaster. Not sure if Nebraska is open carry, but you are an officer. What is your everyday carry? Glock 19 for me. I carry Glock 19. Glock 19 is the greatest everyday carry pistol there is. I have a Gen 4 Glock 19. Gets the job done. My duty handgun is Gen 5 Glock 17, which is phenomenal, with a ACA or Acro, aim point Acro on it is my red dot. I've been spending the last 2 months transitioning from iron sights to red dot, and it's been a very more challenging transition than I thought it would be. But I love it now that I've made the transition. I love it. So yeah, Glock 19. As far as Nebraska being open carry, Nebraska is open carry outside of the cities. Each city has their own ordinance, which takes precedence. In Omaha, you cannot open carry unless you have a CCW permit. A CCW permit allows you to open carry or carry concealed. You also get around a lot of the registration rules. I carry firearms as a state certified law enforcement officer, which gives me special rules that I can follow, but I still have to register my guns because I don't have a CCW permit. Also, nobody can carry guns on school property, cop or otherwise. If I'm off duty, I can't carry a firearm when I'm picking up my kids from school. Does that seem stupid to you? Seems stupid to me. But those are the rules. Those are the laws. So don't get caught breaking them. Anyway, which CYMA Platinum would you suggest? I've had really good luck with my SR25. That's damn near my favorite gun right now. And as near as I can tell, the design is the same as the QBS M4s. So my next gun I'm going to purchase is definitely going to be a CYMA Platinum QBS. Probably in 10-inch if there's a barrel that length. I know there's a 12 and a half or 12 and a 14 and a half. This is my ICS M4. This is my ICS Captain. I've had this gun forever. It is time. This gun needs to be retired. It's just not really shooting as well as it used to. The split gearbox just keeps getting noisier. I think maybe it's just my ears. But now that, that quick change spring systems are so common and having a split gearbox really isn't as big an advantage as it used to be, I think it's just time to retire this, and maybe I'll paint it blue and just make it a training gun for work and gut it. But yeah, I definitely need a new CQB M4, and I'm definitely going to get a CYMA Platinum. So QBS, go from there. Yeah, I love ICS. I was in Keith Blackman loves ICS. Yeah, I'm a huge ICS fan. I was for years. I was an ICS captain for like 3 or 4 years. Good company. They sent me that gun for free. So just for kind of being the captain. So, but I had issues with ICS too. They don't pay for trades ever, and they like making really weird, unique kind of externals on their guns, so they don't have to pay for trades, which can sometimes be cool, and sometimes they can take a good design and make it look like shit. Or sometimes, like with their new AK, 90% of it will look great, and then like in that particular gun, for me, the front sight post is god awful and hideous, and I just can't get my mind around how ugly that front sight post is. So I just can't. I can't get on board with them on that. I've actually had conversations over Facebook Messenger with some of the higher ups of ICS's R&D, because when you were a captain, it was kind of cool. They would actually communicate with you and, hey, what do you think of this or that? And we talked about what Americans want for, in my opinion, for airsoft guns. And they were still really into M-Lock. And I said, you got to get rid of, or not M-Lock. They were into key mod. And I said, you guys got to get rid of key mod. Key mod's dead or in disco. No one's using key mod. Key mod's trash. Get rid of key mod. And yeah, that's, I don't know. They eventually switched to M-Lock not long after that. Was it because I said you need to switch to M-Lock? I don't think so. Who knows? But there's a lot of stuff I would give them advice about, and they could care less. They just came out with a new sniper rifle, like a bullpup kind of sniper. I had a lengthy conversation about what kind of sniper they should come up with. And at the time, I was like, it's something that's VSR 10 compatible, 90 to 100%. That's parts wise is the most important thing. So who knows? Das Master 42. Would it be cliche for a SWAT officer to rock an MP5 on the field? MP5s are kind of old school. MP5 went away after Waco when the ATF found that the 9mm did not do well shooting through barriers, even limited barriers that were, because at Waco, the compound, the wood wasn't really, it was like particle board. It wasn't really the strongest stuff in the world. And they were facing off against AKs. So that's what killed the subguns, in my opinion. The Waco siege ended the submachine gun as a legitimate thing, a viable thing. And back then, you had full length rifles, and M16s were all, 20-inch M16s. And now, then they came out with, the M4, 14.5. Law enforcement started using it, shorter and shorter barrels, blah, blah, blah. And now, for the same size as an MP5, you can basically get a short barreled AR, 10-inch barrel, 10.5, 11, whatever you got. On SWAT, I use a Mark 18, a Daniel Defense Mark 18. It's not that much bigger than MP5, but it is a rifle caliber that can punch through soft armor. So MP5s or 9mm can't punch through soft armor. YouTube's a weird place. You get a lot of shit talk on YouTube. I noticed when I hit the threshold of, like, once I got north of 1,000 subscribers, which is still nothing, all of a sudden I started attracting, like, I started catching hate. I started catching trolls, and every time someone would just, oh, you suck, you're trash, blah, blah, blah. And you look at their channel and they have nothing. There's like, they don't really have a channel. They're just some dude wandering around talking shit about people. So there's a lot of trolls. I've never had like a real legitimate, who I consider a legitimate person who had a legitimate channel or anything like that, jump on there and talk shit. And I know when I'm looking at other channels and I look at other content, I guess I've commented on some stuff, but it's always positive. I've never been like, this person sucks, so I'm going to waste time in my life telling them that I think that they're trash. That I don't see the point of that. Why? I have better things to do with my time, my free time, than talk shit about other people that I don't know. It's fucking dumb. If I find a video that I find really helpful, I'll comment on there. Hey, thank you. This is awesome. This is exactly what I needed. So, yeah. Okay. Well, I guess they YouTube in their infinite wisdom shut down my last stream entirely, so you can't even see it anymore. Don't know what to tell you. I think that's what, you can't show guns on YouTube live. Okay. Oh, it took me a while to figure it out that I was holding up an ICS, huh? Airsoft gun. That's really? That's cute. So they just, apparently YouTube deleted that whole stream. I don't know if it's going to reappear later. That's why I don't like doing live streams. They're just kind of a pain in the ass. And one time there was one live stream where I mentioned a historical event, and yeah, they just shut her down because apparently it was a controversial event, and the algorithm picked me up saying it, and it was, I don't know. I think that's childish. It's their their platform. They can do what they want with it, but somebody make something better, please. I post my videos on other platforms, but nobody watches those other platforms. So all my traffic comes from YouTube. 99% of my traffic comes from YouTube. So new policy, I swear they took down one of my streams. Yeah, who knows? Don't trust the algorithms. What are my thoughts on the SRC Falcon series? I'm not familiar with the SRC Falcon. Let me try to Google it real quick. I haven't heard any guns from SRC in a very long time. That's kind of an old school airsoft manufacturer. I know back in the day, buddy of mine, Vance, I used to play with, he loved SRC, had an M4, but I haven't heard much from him. Taiwan gun, huh? SRC Falcon. So it looks like, see if I can have the camera pick it up. Nope, it's not going to work. Looks like that. So that's basically a 9mm sub gun. I'm not a big fan of those. I'm not a real big fan of pistol SMGs, pistol caliber carbines. I think real world, I don't like them because they don't defeat soft armor and they're just not as accurate. And you're giving up a lot when you go to a pistol caliber. So we got rid of the MP5 for a reason. Why are we going back to it now? And for the cost, you could just get a short barrel rifle, whether it be an M4 or whatever, and actually have something that can punch through soft armor. And you're not even saving that much on ammo. So I really don't see the point of all these pistol carbines at all. Never liked them. And they're expensive. I mean, there's some people are like, oh, look at my pistol carbine. It's $1,800. I'm like, you could have bought a decent M4 or AR-15 for $800 to $1,000. So yeah, it also takes standard M4 mags and does have a double chip MOSFET pre-installed. I mean, that's cool, but I mean, I just don't get pistol calibers. Just use an M4 mag. So that's me. Well, I'm not sure how many are going to jump over here. Do you think that was the real Jon Bernthal that was on earlier? I'm skeptical. I think someone just made a Jon Bernthal account, jumped on here to fuck with me. If so, well played. Do I own any night vision? And if so, what is it? No. I have access to PVS 14s. On the professional side, we don't really use them that often. And in cities, I find their use very limiting. If you're going to use a night vision, you're probably going to want to have some sort of IR laser on your rifle so you can actually engage targets while you have your night vision on. If you're going to go to a 40-hour milsim or any overnight milsim, I recommend you rent it. And after doing Operation Underdog, in which I used the thermal scope, I would definitely do thermal. I would never not use a thermal. The only bad thing about thermal is, and it's a minor thing, is you can't look through glass. After doing Operation Underdog with that thermal scope all weekend, I've told everybody who will listen to my command, we need more thermal. We need thermal scopes on everything. At least a couple dedicated thermal scope weapons, because it is an absolute game changer. So yeah, spend the money, rent the thermal. Rent it though. I mean, they cost like $7,000, $6,000 or $7,000 to buy a thermal. And as much as I would love to shoot coyotes at night on a thermal scope, that's really hard to justify that kind of cost. It's ridiculous. So it's kind of unreasonable. If I don't have $7,000 lying around. I got kids that need braces and stuff. I don't have the money for it to be pissing away on thermals. Do you ever upgrade your AEG internals? Yeah, I do, but I'm less concerned about the internals and I'm more concerned about the performance. I know it sounds kind of stupid. So if I have stock parts and have really good compression, plus or minus 1 or 2 FPS, I am really hesitant to screw with the internals. When I have a issue with compression, a variance there of let's say 5 or 10 or even more because something's wrong, then I'll upgrade my internals. I don't think I've ever upgraded a cylinder. I've never had a cylinder that didn't work fine. I've upgraded a lot of pistons, a lot of piston heads, a lot of air nozzles. Air nozzles is one of the things I upgrade pretty early because, I like an air nozzle that has an O-ring with it. So I get kind of tighter FPS. I like consistency because consistency is accuracy. So I'll do that. I'll upgrade motors because I like running 11.1 lipos and I like running heavier springs because I like hitting that. I like being right at that 1.48 joule limit for most AEGs. So if I right up at that joule limit, if I upgrade the spring and that motor starts getting hot, it starts struggling to pull the spring, then yeah, I'm going to upgrade my motor. So I do that a lot. Gears, I don't upgrade gear sets until something breaks because I play semi-auto. So it's not really having a gun that shoots 40 BBs a second isn't a big deal to me. So I haven't had a gear break in a very long time, anything from a gear set in a really long time. So I usually keep my gears stock. I'll just stick with most of the upgrades I do are on the compression side of things. Piston head, piston, air nozzle, hop up, barrel. I stick with those. So yeah, I'm not the world's greatest tech. I wouldn't go to me for tech and really hardcore tech advice. To some degree, the more you upgrade your guns, the more they break. You can make a small dog shit fast, but he won't shit long. My dad used to say. He was referencing performance cars and turbochargers, but it applies to airsoft. Same thing with, oddly enough, Glocks and probably a lot of other firearms. I'm a Glock armor. I firmly believe upgrading Glocks is generally pretty stupid to make it better. Glock makes a really good handgun. Don't mess with it. Don't screw with it. They make it the way they make it for a reason, other than getting different sights because the stock sights suck and the stock sights on a Glock suck for a reason because they know everybody upgrades them, so they're not going to put sights on there that they know everybody's going to upgrade anyway. In fact, the guy that taught me to be an armorer told me that Glock makes their Glock sights from leftover polymer, and they just make it into sights, and they put the sights in there as a placeholder. And other than that, though, other than the sights, I would never upgrade anything on a Glock. Maybe the grip. I just added I forget the hell it's called, Talon grip on my duty pistol. It's really cool. It's like a rubberized grip. That I'm a fan of. So if nobody's got any more questions, luckily the YouTube shut me down at right at an hour on the last stream, which is kind of where I wanted to end up anyway. Unless anybody's got any questions, I'll give it a few minutes here, but I'm going to shut it down. I appreciate everybody jumping in. I think there's about 12 there, which in the grand scheme of YouTube is nothing, obviously, but I appreciate you guys jumping in. I like doing these because they are interactive. When I'm making videos on the channel, I don't get a chance to interact. It's just me talking to a damn camera. So it's kind of cool to actually interact with people. And, there are people out there that watch this stuff and enjoy it and appreciate it. Stuff. Hope to see you again this year at CJ's Homefront. I got to look up some of the CJ's is one of the fields that's close to me. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. I like playing at CJ's. I like local games. Just because I did a 40-hour Milsim and I really enjoyed it I'm not one of those guys who's like, oh, if it's not 40 hours, shit. No, I still will love going a weekend Milsim, a one-day Milsims with breaks where you can go back to the parking lot and hang out and eat lunch or whatever. I think it's all good. All airsoft is good airsoft. No, I'm not a fan of infighting. So, yeah, I'll do it. Am I going to do another 40-hour Milsim? Absolutely. Will I rent another thermal scope? Absolutely. But I'll also still do the one days and the weekends because I think it's all good. Don't beat your chest with airsoft. You don't have to try to impress people with, my airsoft is more hardcore than your airsoft. It's bullshit. So everybody have a good night. First stream of 2023, and hope everybody has a good year. And looking forward to putting out some good stuff. There's no way that's the real Jon Bernthal. No way. I'm not buying it. Good night.